And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
There is a lot of expansions for Thunderstone out at this point. It certainly is the king of deck constructing games. This one is Heart of Doom, which is, I guess a small box expansion. And this one certainly has a different feel than the other ones. Not because it has any groundbreaking rules. In fact, when I look at the rule book, it's only a few pages, and most of those, just tells you all the cards in it. But I think the variety contained in this set, there is a lot of monsters. There are some bad monsters, especially the biggest, baddest monster in the game so far. There's some unique heroes, and there's a lot of cards that allow you to mess with other players. Now, if you watch my videos or seen anything, you know that I play Epic Thunderstone. So I don't play Thunderstone like the rules initially say. I basically mix everything together. So that's how I test it out and play it, but I can still kind of see how everything works. And so let's take a look at the cards in the game. We'll start with the ones I like the least, and we'll get to the ones that are awesome. So we start with the Bag of Holding, which, has to be in the game at some point for thematic reasons. And again, that's something I think is really cool about this set, is the fact that there is so much stuff in it that I've been, looking for in this style game. But the fact that you can, you have to destroy something to draw 2 cards, it's okay. And it's worth $2. I don't know, maybe other people find it better than I do. The Belzer's Blessing, draw 2 cards, everyone else draws a card, but it's also worth a light. It's cheap, okay. Soulfire. This lets you discard experience to get an extra attack, which is good in games where you have a lot of extra experience, which might happen with some of the other cards in this set, but it's not something that I'm constantly doing much of. Here's a kind of generic weapon, it's like a mixture, attack +1, magic attack +1, and gives you light, but the big thing about this one is it's worth 3 coins, so you might buy it just for more purchasing power. The Dredging Net, so I could see some people using this. You draw 3 cards from the bottom of your deck, you're discarding 1, destroying 1, and putting 1 into your hand. So I can see, some usefulness to that if you have diseases or cards you want. But it's kind of, just a luck of the draw. I'm not sure how useful. Grogner. Now, I just want to use this card so I can make Wargamer jokes. But this guy gives you experience when you purchase him. He's not very useful during the game, but just by buying them you get experience. That's not so bad. Swamp Provisions, some more provisions. It lets you destroy a card for extra attack, but that gives you disease, so you gotta watch what you eat. This weapon I like because it gives you an extra attack against monsters, but it also lets you switch monsters around. This is part of the theme of this deck, where it allows you to manipulate things. That's very handy. The Ritual of Cleansing, where you can go take top 5 cards to someone's deck and they have to get rid of 2 of them. They're gone forever. You can do it to yourself. It helps you get rid of diseases. If you do it to someone else, you lose the card. So it's powerful. It's best used on yourself, but sometimes it can really just be a pain in someone else's neck. The War Hero. I really like this guy. He gives someone an attack +3 when you play him, but then that hero or mercenary is destroyed. So it's like that all out. It's very thematic and can be very useful in that right situation, especially going up against a big bad monster. The Short Spear is a new weapon I like because it gives an extra attack +2 if a militia has it. And if it's attached to a militia in a dungeon, you draw a card. So this is one of those ones that makes militia more useful. And that's something I'm always in favor of. And if you see the Short Spear, you're going to be tempted to buy it just for that reason. Here's a new Mace, and one of the reasons I like this Mace, it's not anything special, it's attack +3, but it's the fact that it's really helpful to clerics. Clerics need 3 less strength, and it gives them a +1 light when they use it. And I like things like that because it helps differentiate even more amongst the roles of the heroes. This is a really, let's see here, speaking of heroes, we got a new Thief, attack +2, and you can destroy this card to steal a treasure from someone else. Woohoo! But she gets better and lets you buy heroes in the dungeon, and then the highest one lets you buy a hero added to your hand. So that's a big deal because you can look over the available heroes and buy the right one to use against the monster you're fighting. Very useful card. Village Cut Purse lets you buy cards while you are in the dungeon, one of the things I want to say about the Village Cut Purse, which is unusual about this game, is that even though it says Thief Hero here, and then here it's still a Thief Hero in the upgraded level, this is not a hero card. This is actually a village card. It can show up, and you can buy them, and you can upgrade them just like heroes, since they are heroes. And I'm really not sure why it's a village card. But hey, that's the way it is, and there's only 2 levels. Here's a new cleric, which lets you destroy diseases whether you are in the village or dungeon. And at higher levels, you can put diseases from your hand into your opponent's hand, or at the highest level, stick a bunch of diseases under one of the monsters, and if anyone kills that monster, they get all those diseases. So transferring your diseases to someone else. Earlier I mentioned about getting more experience. Well, here's one of the guys who does it. Whenever he's in a dungeon, gives you an experience, upgrades to experience, and at the highest level, you can just level up heroes in a dungeon. Wow, when you draw him, you might be tempted to go to the dungeon even if you know you're going to lose. And we have another bowman who gives you an attack +1 for each rank of the target, but also extra light as long as he has a bow equipped. A guy with fire arrows. Again, a neat concept to the game, something that's added. The John Doe Hunters, I like these guys because they go against undead, and they ignore some light penalties the farther in the dungeon they go. Here is a really neat hero, the Dark Animator. At the lowest level, not so cool. They can destroy a hero or villager in your discard pile to get you magic attack +1. Alright, so you might get rid of some militia. And, you know, yes, she's using them as zombies. But when she gets to level 2, the Puppeteer, and level 3, the Necromancer, you can use monsters that you've already killed and use their victory point as a magic attack. That's really handy because those cards are almost always worthless in your hand. But with her in your deck, they become very, very powerful. And then the final hero is the Thrower. This is my favorite card in the new deck when it comes to heroes, at least. They allow you to throw one of your weapons to get attack +1. You destroy it. Not so useful, but when they get to the second level, you can throw a weapon and then buy a weapon after you throw the one. And at the highest level, you don't have to get rid of one of yours. You can take one of the ones from the village and throw it, getting an attack equal to its weight. That is rocking powerful. Love it. The game isn't all about just the heroes and stuff. There is some more treasures in this one that let you purchase village cards while you're in a dungeon, or even this one which lets you upgrade somebody for free. But what's neat is in this one there's 8 new different sets of monsters. First we have the basilisks, which actually surprised me because I didn't know there was that many varieties of them. And mostly these guys are going to be more powerful the more stuff you bring. Maybe they get more health for how many heroes you have, maybe for how many, items you have in your hand. You got the Will-o'-wisps, the undead spectral. They are just kind of annoying to hit. Some of them you have to destroy stuff to get rid of them. They're not hard to kill, straight up. It's just that there's some extra requirement, which can be a real pain in the neck. Then we have werewolves. Yes, we're mixing Twilight in now, aren't we? Well, not really. But the werewolves can be really dangerous when they breach, and they're just also hard to kill. The dryads, all kinds of trees that come in, they're difficult to kill, but when they come in, they basically add an extra level to the dungeon. There's another monster on board, so that could be a real pain in the neck. When I say can be, it is. Spiders, yeah, Widowmaker, the Dread Spider, and the Spider Queen. When these guys breach, they're going to destroy cards and just generally hurt players, so you cannot let them. You got to kill spiders before they emerge. And then we have the Abyssal or the Throw. I don't know what these guys are basically, but what they do is they kind of switch around the light penalties. So they're harder to hit at the very beginning. They're just as hard to hit at the beginning of the dungeon as they are farther in. Then we have our weenies, the lizard folk. These guys even give some bonuses when you fight them, sometimes. And then finally, and this is the coolest monster in the game, are the doppelgangers. This is not the trainer that came in the original game. This is the false trainer. And they all have global effects. Like, for example, anytime you level up a hero, you have to destroy an extra XP while they're in here. And each one of these has some effect, usually, or they have a breach thing, which is really annoying. The false sergeant. After going to a dungeon, place a militia from the village into your discard pile. False chaplain, false fortune teller, false blacksmith, false tax collector, false barkeeper. What? I thought he was my friend. And the false guide. I really like this idea. The doppelgangers are one of the coolest new monsters, and I'm glad they're here. But they are not the biggest and baddest monster in this. This game adds another Thunderstone. And you say, okay, seriously, how many Thunderstones do we need? Well, I'll get to that in a moment. But let me mention, there's a new Big Bad Guardian, a Mournwater Witch, and the last Doom Knight. Ooh, big bad monsters. But the biggest, baddest monster of all, the Heart of Doom, is here. And if you notice, this is actually a Thunderstone. And if you have Thunderstones against this, you get magic attack +6. If you attack this and you lose the game. So that's a big deal. And you have to attack him when he shows up, because if he breaches, he's going to march slowly, but it's not going to take long, and he's going to win the game. So you have to attack him, and if you lose the game. So don't stick this guy into a game unless you're really, ready to take it up a notch, and then you're going to want to throw in some of those extra Thunderstones. So overall, this game, this expansion seems to concentrate on the baddies more than it does on the goodies, but it does have some really good stuff for the heroes too. This is my favorite small expansion so far. I still like the Dragonspire one as my favorite expansion, although that's basically a game in and of itself. But of all the small expansions, I really love the heroes and the villains. It's just neat. It's a neat mix. I would even say that if you're going to buy just one expansion, this would be the one to get.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.